Before we start, what's with all these stink bugs? I've never even seen one before until this year.
Thank you, China.
Is that where they come from?
I'm pretty sure.
Why do they call them stink bugs?
Because when you smash them, they smell pretty bad.
Oh, I don't smash them, I just flick them away.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
They smell pretty bad.
Man, nasty. What's up, you guys? We're going to excite this video a little bit more than talking about stink bugs. Let's go talk to John Miller about what?
RIDGID, a rigid table saw.
RIDGID table saw, you guys. Let's check it out. What's up, Johnny boy?
What's up?
Well, hey, thanks for that introduction, Kermit and Fozzie. Today I'm going to take a look at the RIDGID R4517 10-inch compact table saw. Now this basically is a job site saw, and RIDGID has 3 table saws in their lineup right now. One of them is, I believe it's a R4511, which is the hybrid saw. Then they have another larger job site saw, and then this is their compact model. So I've had the opportunity to work with this for like the last 4 months, and I used it quite extensively on this garage remodel project I did with workbenches and cabinets and whatnot. So I have a lot to say about this and a good amount of experience. So first off, let's go over some specifics on this. The R4517 10-inch blade, of course, 5/8" arbor, 5,000 RPM motor on this, 15 amp. It has a 6-foot long cord wrap that's wrapped on the side, so nothing majorly long. Pretty much all of your applications are going to require an extension cord. There are some blade changing tools stored on the side, along with a miter gauge and a push stick that mount on this table saw. The wing on the table saw expands so you can get up to a 26-inch cut. And this is handled by, there's a little release right here on the tabletop, but I'm going to go on this a little bit longer, a little bit more, and this slides the deck in and out, lock back into place, along with the lock on the fence. So we're going to talk about these two in a little bit more extensively here in the near future. Also, this table saw comes with, excuse me, blade guard and a set of paws, along with splitter riving knife. Those are the 3 main safety features you're going to find on pretty much every table saw. And just to let you know, I'm not a big fan of the paws for the work that I do, because I do a lot of work with wood that has to have a nice finish, and these will scrape it up. But as far as general work, if you're a contractor, if you're just working with 2x4s and roughing in and plywood, these are great, along with the blade guard. This is especially important if you have a contract and you have a crew. You want to make sure you keep your people safe, and you want to make sure you keep the hands out of the blade. But for all intents and purposes, with some of the smaller cuts I do, this would be coming off quite often, so I just leave mine off. I don't recommend doing that for you. Also, this blade guard, this splitter riving knife can be raised and lowered, and this is what your safety features attach to. In the back of this saw, there's a 2.5-inch dust port, and this is nice for cleaning out any obstructions. Like if you have big pieces of plywood, little chunks of plywood that go through there, you can fish them out. Plus you could hook up a shop vac to it, but for me, I use it outside most of the time, so I'm not worried about that. It has a cast aluminum top and a plastic body. This is a very light unit, and this is the compact version, the 10-inch compact. It's so you could pick it up, move it around, and go with it. Now this unit comes with the stand, or you can buy it without the stand. Just to give you an idea, on Home Depot site right now, it's $299 with the stand and $249 without the stand. This is what they call the X stand, and we're going to talk about that in a little second too, because there's a lot I want to say about that. The reason why I was interested in this unit in particular is because I've turned my workshop, I did a remodel, I've turned it into like a second shop for me, so I don't have to carry things up and down the stairs, carry stuff outside. I want to be able to, larger items, nice days, I want to be able to work outside or in the garage. So this is a very portable, small footprint, easy to set off on the wall or in the cabinet to store, and that's important to me because I have limited space in here. This is a small garage. I need to be able to move around. So, what else? We have blade raises and lowers like any other design with a little dial up front. If you want to tilt the blade on a 45, there's a release down here. Push this lever in and you can dial it back and forth. Lock it back into place. Pretty simple. Now, talk about performance. 15 amp motor, 5,000 RPM. Handles everything that you would typically cut on this. You have about a 3 1/4 inch cut in height on this table blade, on table saw 10-inch blade. So you're gonna be cutting 2x4s and plywood most likely. No problem with that. Slow start motor. So when you turn it on, it's gonna start off slow and ramp up. It's easier on the motor. The motor also is brushed. So there are easy ports to change the brushes on this if they ever wear out. But, so as long as you're not feeding too fast, like you can bog this table saw down if you're feeding a 2x4 through hard. But I never blew any breakers or anything. The saw did just fine. Now, something I found kind of funny, I always like this lever in the top here to slide out your fence and lock down. I really like that. Some of the other ones have them in the front. Thought that was neat. The only problem I had with this, let's say if your fence is over here, you want to extend it. You can't extend it unless you release this as well. Now you can extend it, but now I can't move my fence over until I lock that down. Now I can move this over and adjust it. Something I hadn't thought about before I had it, no big deal. But it works very well. You just might have to think or take a little more time. Now, the fence is your typical fence that locks in the back. It locks in the front, but it basically pulls a foot tight in the back. Now, this is pretty standard on most job site saws and a lot of the other big saws too. But there is potential to have this out of square unless you're careful, because you can have this tilted a little bit in the track, lock it down, and it will be farther into the blade or out of the blade if you're not careful. And that can cause problems. If you have it farther into the blade, and let's say you don't have your riving knife on, you could end up pushing the material in the back into the blade and throwing it back at you. One thing I want to say about all safety, if you have a riving knife or splitter, use it, use it, use it, use it. This thing is the most valuable safety piece on a table saw in my opinion. So as long as you take this carefully, lock it into place, it stays. It doesn't move, so that's a good thing. If it does move a little bit, if yours comes in a little bit out of whack from the factory, there is a nut back here that you can tighten it. But for my intents and purposes and my experience, it's worked great. So performance-wise, works good on plywood, works good on 2x4s, and it's done everything I wanted to. Now, the website, Home Depot's website says this table saw is about 54 pounds and the stand is about 25 pounds or 20 pounds, making this around 75 pounds. I think that's over-exaggerated. I can pick this up with no problem and move it around. I think 75 pounds is a little heavy on the stats. I can't prove that right now. I don't have anything to weigh it on, but it is very light and easy and compact for me to move around. When it's on its stand, no problem. Now let's talk about the stand. The stand here, the table saw attaches to the stand with 4 Allen bolts with nuts underneath. Now, when I got this, I kind of assumed this was going to be a quick attachment setup, so it would be quick and easy to move. You take this off, latch it down, and go. The Allen bolts with the nuts take a little bit of time. I mean, you got to go find your Allen wrench, something to hold the nut on the bottom side, and take it off. Takes more time than I would like it to. I've seen other items before, other table saws, you put it into the stand, it has tabs on the back and a lock on the front. Flip the lock, take it off, and you're going. This one's going to take a little more setup time and disassemble time than I would like. I would love to see RIDGID come out with some cam locks on the top, something that would allow you to attach this quickly. That was one of the things I wanted to do with this table saw, is be able to store it in my cabinet, hang the stand on the wall. I didn't want this big stand-up gravity stand model because I didn't think I was gonna have room for it. I actually would here because this is where the table saw is gonna stay anyway. But so that's one thing I'd like to see changed on this X stand. Also, this table saw only has about 4 inches behind the table, behind the blade as far as table. There is no outfeed table on this, so once your material gets past this, it tends to want to fall. Not a big deal unless you're working with longer material, 6 foot, if you're cutting a piece of plywood, even if it's only 20 inches wide and you start pushing it through, once it gets off to that end and you start extending 6 and 8 feet, this whole table saw wants to tip like this. It is not because of this unit. This is something that is standard with all X stands. Eric and Dan did a video recently of the Milwaukee cordless battery operated one, and they were cutting a long piece of 2x4. Same thing you can see in the video, the table wants to tip. Very dangerous situation to be in. You can see in this video I am pushing through a piece of plywood and trying to hold it down on the table to make the end cut and keep the table down. Not the best situation. Now, with that being said, you should have help. You should have somebody helping you there, holding the outfeed if you're into long pieces of situation. But I think there is an easy fix from the tool companies that make X stands that could prevent this. And it would be just a shoe to put on the bottom of the stand that folds up when not in use, folds down, and locked into place. That would make this stand base go up beyond, probably 2 feet beyond the table saw. So if it ever wanted to tip, it's going to hit that foot, and that foot will prevent it from tipping over. It doesn't replace having an extra set of hands to help you, because that's the way you should be doing it. But if you ever get in that situation, it could save you. So I'd like to see the tool companies that have X stands make that change. Now, like I said, I've had this for 4 months. I had some real good opportunity to use it, and it was a lifesaver compared to carrying stuff down in the basement. A lot of quick cuts. I've used it a lot and I really like it. So the greatest thing about this is the price point. This is a very inexpensive unit. If you have a workshop in your garage, or you just want a second table saw, or you're on the move, it's a good choice to look at. It's cheap, easy to use, very mobile, and it's also backed by RIDGID's lifetime service warranty agreement, so you can't go wrong. So in conclusion, in my opinion, this is a real nice saw. It has room for improvements, but at this price point, it's got a lot of features and it's a solid work item. So if you're looking for a small, very compact, mobile table saw that's not going to break the bank, take a look at the RIDGID R4517. Until next time, I'm John from Tools in Action. Talk to you later.
Remember, for more exciting tool action, go to toolsinaction.com.